This is Making Stitches, and this time we hear about how craft businesses can be successful on Etsy.
When you start selling really well on Etsy, so if you get sale after sale after sale, the Etsy will automatically just keep bumping up your listings. You'll suddenly be more visible, because they love the fact that your conversion rate's high, that you're making Etsy money, because obviously they make money with sales, they're a business. So the key is, the end goal is to just sell really well on Etsy, and then the SEO kind of goes out the window.
Hello and welcome to Making Stitches podcast. I'm Lindsay. This time I'm doing something a little bit different. I usually speak to makers, be they artists, designers or craftspeople, but this time my guest isn't from the world of crafts, but she does work with lots of people who are. Claire Reid helps handmade business owners with their Etsy shops. I thought this might be of interest to you, as I know a lot of people who listen to Making Stitches either are making money from their crafts or are considering it as an option. There are, of course, many ways to do that, but Etsy is one avenue open to makers. Claire offers advice for Etsy shop owners on her website and social media, and runs an Etsy Hive community too for shop owners. I caught up with Claire for a chat about Etsy as a platform for crafters and what she can do to help.
My background is not in crafts, it's in executive assistant and PA roles in offices, weirdly. That was my background, and then I had my son. And as you know, things change when you have children and your priorities change. And I thought, how am I going to fit around school runs, etc., summer holidays? And so I became a virtual assistant. So obviously I used my skills as an executive assistant and became a VA sort of remotely. And then weirdly, I got a jewellery client that I worked with, and she was on Etsy. And I started working with her, trying to build her business, adding her listings up, sometimes doing her newsletters, etc. And then it kind of like clicked that this is really, I love working with handmade businesses. This is like really like a passion. And so I then just decided to niche just into Etsy, like sellers, because I could see how the Etsy algorithm worked, the SEO, how you can make your shop work for you and make money from it, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. And it went from there really. And then I just, niched into Etsy and started offering Etsy services basically.
Okay, so a lot of your clients are people who make things by hand and sell things to do with crafts then?
All of them, yeah. Yeah, all of them are artists or jewelry makers. All of them crafty. So I don't work with anyone other than those people now.
So what would you say are the main mistakes that people make? Because obviously, you sit at home, you create things for yourself, your family, your friends, they're bored of the things that you're making, but you can't stop. So you want to find a platform in order to, sell what you're making and actually make a bit of money, maybe cover your costs or maybe even make a bit more. What are the most common mistakes that craft people make when they go to start their Etsy shops?
I would say probably just putting their listings up and hoping that whatever they've done will just create sales. Like Etsy is like, you have to know how it works. You don't automatically get found. There's millions of people on Etsy, as you know. It's a saturated marketplace, but it's also a great place to get eyes on your products. But you have to know how to get the eyes on your products, and a lot of people don't know that. So the biggest mistake I would say is probably not investing time to understand how Etsy SEO works. Also pictures. I see so many bad pictures, and that's like, and I understand some people don't have a great camera, or they just don't think about a really great quality picture. But if you see on Etsy, the things Etsy chooses, Etsy picks they call them, or they feature them on their social media, they're all amazing pictures, and some are just done by phone, like an iPhone, a Samsung. You just need the right lighting, invest in a light ring, a light box, just make your pictures clickable. No one wants, if you see a rubbish dark picture that's cut off, you can't see the whole product, you're not going to click on it and buy. So I always say, please take time to make your pictures look lovely. They're the most two common, things that people don't take time to do.
Now, you mentioned Etsy SEO. Is that different from normal SEO? Like for websites
Yeah, good
or
question.
whatever?
Yeah, it is. It is and it isn't really. It's the same sort of theory, as in you need the right keywords. But I suppose if you do know SEO in general, which is search engine optimization, if people don't know what it means, it obviously it can help you with Etsy. But yeah, there are some things that the algorithm changes on Etsy all the time, and it's just about knowing what they like, what they don't like. For instance, Etsy like an active store. So that's not always the case with websites. You just have to get the keywords right. Whereas Etsy, they rank you higher if you're active, you're constantly adding listings, you're updating, stagnant listings that aren't doing anything, you're updating your banner, you're making sure that your announcement feature is on. There's lots of things that people don't know that actually helps your quality ranking score with Etsy, which is really important, obviously, because the higher you rank, the more visible they'll bump up your listing, basically.
Oh, that's very interesting to know. I just assumed that if you took nice pictures and you made it look as good as you possibly could and you stuck them there, that would be fine. But you've actually got to keep going back in and tweaking it here and there to just remind them that you're there then.
Yeah, I think it is. I think they just like the fact that you're in your shop and you're active, and it definitely does help with the algorithm for sure, like visibility, adding listings quite often. But there is a thing where you change your listings, and it takes time for them to be re-ranked. So a lot of people make the mistake of tweaking listings too much, and then you're constantly being re-ranked. So you have to change your listings and just be patient and realize that it's going to take time to be re-ranked. Sometimes it takes up to 90 days. So it's a lot of patience, and dedication to it, rather than just plonking pictures up, describing the product, not using keywords or long tail keywords, and hope, and just thinking you're going to get sales, because you just have to invest in knowing what you're doing on there.
Crikey, it sounds like it's almost a full-time job in itself. I guess I think the problem from a craftsperson's point of view is you spend so many hours working on your product, whether that's a digital product or whether that's a physical product that you're going to send out to somebody.
Yeah.
You have to then concentrate on your social media presence to make sure that you're, attracting new customers and letting your existing customers know what you've done, what's new, what's great, what offers you've got and everything. And then you've got to think about Etsy and all the other intricacies that you're talking about here. It does feel a little bit like, blimey, just give up sleeping and work through the night, because
Yeah, basically that's what you need to do,
think of.
Lindsay. Just
Oh
that's
my
it.
word.
24 hours. No, it's not. It's not. The thing is with Etsy is, it's a funny one, because when you start selling really well on Etsy, so if you get sale after sale after sale, the Etsy will automatically just keep bumping up your listings. You'll suddenly be more visible, because they love the fact that your conversion rate's high, that you're making Etsy money, because obviously they make money with sales. They're a business. So the key, the end goal is to just sell really well on Etsy, and then the SEO kind of goes out the window, because you're constantly being bumped up anyway by Etsy, because they love you, because you're making them loads of money. It's just getting there. You see top sellers that are obviously, their keywords, you look at their titles and you think, oh, they're not using long tail keywords. Why are they up there? And it's because they're selling thousands a week or a month, and Etsy are just continuously showing them at the top, annoyingly, or they're spending a fortune on ads and they're constantly at the top. So it's a tricky one. It's hard. It is hard work.
So what would you say were the like the key tips then? You've mentioned having good photos, and you've mentioned about keywords and SEO. Where do you go to find out what the keywords are that you need to be using for your particular product anyway?
I would say eRank is a really good resource for finding long tail keywords, and also just doing a bit of market research on Etsy as well, like seeing who's selling well, that's selling your product. Get ideas, not copy, because that just doesn't help you either. But get ideas from other sellers, and just learn how Etsy works with regards to SEO. Like, I have an ebook that is downloadable that explains SEO in simple terms, basically, for Etsy, which can be helpful for some people. Some people just like to learn themselves and go on YouTube and find out there's lots of things there. But yeah, I would say just learn what long tail keywords are, what tags. Always use all 13 tags. Always use long tail keywords for tags, which means 2 or 3 words, not just one word, because you're not going to get found. And just describe your product as if someone was searching in the Etsy search bar. Like, don't describe your product as how you like it. Someone has art called beautiful spring flowers on a sunny day, or, for instance, don't put that in your title, because no one is going to be searching for that. People are going to be searching for like a bright summer picture, or a pretty spring wall art. Keep it in simple terms where people are going to be typing in, because people just type in simple terms on Etsy search. They're looking for, they're not going to go specifically. Some people do, but very often it's very simple, but not too broad, obviously. Don't just have your title as wall art, because that's not going to help you either. So yeah, you just have to, use your common sense with regards to the titles and tags.
Okay, now certainly not much to think about then. But certainly I've heard a lot recently about the fact that, there are so many different platforms available where you can sell your craft items. What are the benefits of Etsy when there are other platforms that you can use? Because obviously there's been stories in the news about fees that have been charged by Etsy, and I presume a lot of the people who are listening probably won't be in the bracket where they have their, things withheld because they've got huge fees to pay, because it'll be a small operation. But obviously that it's in the news. There are other platforms to use. What are the benefits of using Etsy?
I would say it's just because it's popular. Like, everyone knows Etsy. Maybe not everyone, but mostly people know Etsy. They're starting to advertise more in the UK as well now. So people are getting, like, it's known. And it's just a great platform to get eyeballs on your products. It's just, I think not a lot of people know of the other ones as well. Not on the high street charge a higher fee than Etsy. If you put it, if you add up all the fees, it's not a massive amount compared to paying for your own website, etc., etc. But you can run both. You could have like a Shopify site and Etsy, and just run Etsy purely on SEO, if you wanted to. That does work. My jewelry client does exactly that. She has a Shopify shop, and she runs Etsy purely on SEO and gets sales. And she drives all her traffic to her Shopify, which you can do as well. But I just think Etsy is well known. It's an opportunity to get your product seen by millions of people, because people are always on there searching. And the fees are lower compared to some of the other marketplaces that I think, and it's nicer than like Amazon, I feel anyway, with regards to products and searching what you find on there.
For people who are selling digital rather than actually physical items, of course, you've got stores like Ravelry and various other things that you can use to sell patterns, perhaps, or how-to guides and that kind of thing. So there's an awful lot to think about, really, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So what would you say is if somebody was considering going down this route and trying to sell what they're producing, what would you say was the key things that they need to think about?
If they were going on Etsy, you mean?
Yeah.
Um, Basically, I always say to people that have just started or just want to open an Etsy store is please do your market research before even thinking about putting your stuff on Etsy. Is it needed? Is it popular? Is it saturated? Do people want your product? You've got to do some research into your product first, because there's no point sort of putting stuff on and it just nothing happening. And then just be patient. Just know that, it can take up to about 3 to 6 months to get your first sale on Etsy. Like, a lot of people just go on there and then give up because they haven't got any sales. But it's normal to not have sales in the first 3 to 6 months, unless you have 1,000 products up and, you're paying a fortune for ads. It's just a waiting game with regards to them deciding where they're going to rank you, driving traffic, getting the trust factor of because obviously once you build up sales, people see reviews and then they're more likely to buy from you, because the reviews are obviously massive on Etsy. So yeah, patience, learning SEO, and knowing the products actually needed. That's what I always say as well. Just make sure that people want the product you're making, because there's no point flogging a dead horse, as they say. Is that the same?
Absolutely. Oh, well, that's been really useful, Claire. Thank you very much. I mean, it does sound like there's an awful lot you have to consider, but I guess if you can actually master it, the world's your oyster, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to go for it and just, if you're passionate about your product and that can come across in your descriptions, in your social media. People, it's a cliche, but people buy from people. And I do think a lot of people are scared of showing their faces on social media. They just show their products, but people do want to see the person behind the product. They really do. And I think that does help, as well, just to get the know, like, and trust factor. Talk about your product, why you love it, why people should have it, how it will make a difference to them by them having it. It's all those little things. It's not just Etsy, just put your stuff on Etsy and hope. It's lots of little things like the marketing. Make sure you've got a brand that is stand out. Share your values, and what you stand for, and people love that stuff, and it will just make people want to look at your items.
It's quite hard though, when you're quite insular, you work on your own, you work in, your little cottage industry or whatever it is. It's very hard to sell. It's very hard to say, I'm wonderful, my products are wonderful, please buy from me. Well, personally, yes. I find that very hard to say. So, and a lot of people who are in this industry are, quite quiet and unassuming sorts. So it's really quite hard to push yourself out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. I wouldn't say if it's really out of your comfort zone and you find it uncomfortable, then obviously don't do it, because it will just come across and it won't be fun. But maybe some people try it and like it and then they get used to it. And then, I mean, my first video on Instagram was just, oh my goodness, horrendous. Let's just say that. And I cringed when I watch it. But now I've been doing it for 4 years. It's just natural now. I just don't think about it. I'm fine talking on camera. So it's about also just trying it and see how you like it. And I know I do get the fact, I mean, I'm an introvert, weirdly, might not come across as one, but I am quite introverted. But I think the more you practice these things, the more it comes natural, and you might like it. And if you do, then keep doing it. If you don't, then obviously don't do it, because it's not going to be fun for you. But I'm not saying that you only sell your products if you show your face, but it just sometimes can help. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great to know. Oh, well, Claire, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you if they want to find out a bit more about what you do?
So my main place is Instagram. That's where I am a lot of the time. I've got all my links in my bio with regards to Etsy audits. I have an Etsy Hive membership that people can join. It gives tips. It's a lovely community, workshops. There's all everything. It's basically to help your business as a whole. And I have an ebook, obviously, that you can download. And that's all in my bio on my Instagram, which is at Etsy_Claire. So people can follow me there.
Wonderful. Oh, well, thank you so much, Claire. I will include links and things in the show notes for this episode as well. So
thank you.
if people are listening to this through the website, they can find all your
Perfect.
information there. But thank you
Brilliant.
so much for your time and for sharing your little nuggets of wisdom about the wonderful world of Etsy. It's been great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
My thanks to Claire for sharing her Etsy expertise. You can find links to her website in the show notes for this episode. And if you enjoyed listening and would like to hear more craft business chats on Making Stitches podcast, do let me know. You can send me a direct message through the Making Stitches socials or get in contact through the Making Stitches podcast website. You're listening to Making Stitches, a podcast celebrating creative crafts and inspiring makers. This podcast is supported by the Making Stitches shop on Etsy, where you can find Making Stitches podcast tote bags, badges and stitch markers, along with a few of my crochet patterns for sale too. Just search for Making Stitches shop on Etsy. Now back to more creative chat. That's almost it for this time, but before I go, I have to share with you that next time on Making Stitches podcast, I'll be sharing a fabulous chat I had when I met the super talented and very prolific crochet designer and author Emma Varnham. Here's a little taster of what's to come. I asked Emma where her inspiration for designs came from.
Oh my gosh, it just comes out of nowhere. I mean, often it's a conversation. So it'll be a conversation, or it'll be, we might be with friends' children and they talk and you think, oh, that'd be cute. I'll make them that to just surprise them or something. It might be that I have a need and go, oh, how do I solve that need? So anything homewares tends to come out of that. It's kind of an invention, I suppose. And then sometimes it's just looking through magazines or seeing a combination of colours.
I hope that's whetted your appetite for the next episode of Making Stitches podcast, which will be with you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, thank you so much for listening. Do take care of yourself and enjoy your crafting.